Not every Austin, Texas suburb is right for everyone. There are a lot of cities and towns around Austin that people just flat out regret moving to. Everyone talks about how amazing it is to live in Austin, around Austin. And look, a lot of that's true. But no one ever talks about the areas that they regret moving to. Because the truth is, a place can be really well regarded, have a great buzz, and be totally wrong for you and your family. So in today's video, we're going to break down in detail the cities and towns that make up the greater Austin metro and tell you all about how amazing some of them are, but also give you the things a lot of people regret about moving there. A lot of things realtors might be afraid to tell you, but not me. Because the problem is if you move to the wrong part of the Austin area, you may not know it until you've actually moved there. And the overall vibe you have in that city every single day makes a huge difference. First city we need to talk about, and the one you may have regrets moving to, is Cedar Park. Cedar Park would be completely wrong for people who want a more laid back and less polished feel. Cedar Park is regarded as one of the most organized, family-friendly suburbs in the entire Austin metro. And for some people, that level of polish is a little too much. There's a really strong keeping up with the Joneses culture in Cedar Park. And for some people, that can be a bit off-putting. There's a little bit of that everywhere, but Cedar Park, and that perfect, well-maintained feel means you're not getting that grifty, artsy vibe that you can find in a place like East Austin. East Austin has an amazing, artsy, eclectic energy that simply you won't find in Cedar Park. Cedar Park is very sanitized. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're somebody who wants that unpolished, independent feeling, Cedar Park is probably going to be a bad choice for you. It also might not be a good fit for people that can't justify the cost of housing there. Cedar Park's medium home price is currently coming in at around $430,000 to $475,000, with price per square foot around $190 to $230. In other words, you're paying a good premium for a Cedar Park address. It does have good schools, which might be a little off-putting for people who don't see the value in that. So you've also have a lot of competition for these homes. Cedar Park is in such demand, especially from tech workers at Apple campuses and North Austin corridor, that inventory moves pretty fast, especially for a turnkey house. So you're going to end up with a lot of competition for the few resale homes available, and even more competition for that new construction. So who is Cedar Park for? Well, if you're wanting a very organized, very polished suburb with very convenient access to employers like Apple and Dell and the overall tech corridor along 183 and 620, Cedar Park, you're going to love it. It's ideal for you. It's also perfect for people with families who want top-rated schools. Leander ISD and Round Rock ISD both serve this area, and both of these school districts are excellent. Just be prepared to compete for homes and pay Cedar Park prices. Next up, you might regret moving to Georgetown. One big knock on Georgetown is that it's further out than a lot of people think. So it's going to feel like, that's what it's going to feel like once you're living out there. On a map, Georgetown looks pretty close to Austin, and it is sort of. But if you live in the northern or western parts of Georgetown, you could experience a drive into downtown Austin or the Domain that easily hits 45 minutes to an hour, especially during rush hour, and it could even be longer than that. Georgetown has also transformed dramatically. A lot of people move there expecting they're going to have that like small town America feel, because it genuinely does have an absolutely gorgeous downtown square. It's one of the most beautiful places in Texas. But the population in Georgetown has boomed. Georgetown was one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country for years running. So it's gotten a lot of great restaurants and shops, but it's no longer that quiet, idyllic town people envision in their heads before they end up moving there. There's also a real range in what Georgetown means depending on what part of Georgetown you live. For example, if you're in Sun City, this is a huge active adult community. In Georgetown, that's one thing. So if you're in one of the newer master plan neighborhoods on the western side, it's something completely, entirely different. So that disconnect can really be a shock to some people. So who is Georgetown for? It's definitely for people who want a growing city with a strong sense of identity. If they want more space, a beautiful historic downtown that they can actually, enjoy in the weekends, and a slightly more relaxed atmosphere than you'll find in, say, Round Rock or Cedar Park. It's really great for people who work from home or have flexible schedules that don't require a daily grind into the city. Next up, we have Round Rock, Texas. And Round Rock can be a place people regret moving to if they come in with certain expectations, right? So one of the main knocks is traffic. Round Rock sits right along I-35, which is notoriously one of the worst congested stretches of highway in the entire state of Texas. So if you're commuting south into Austin on I-35 every day, you can tack on a serious amount of time to that drive during those peak hours. People move to Round Rock for the relative affordability and excellent schools, and they're genuinely shocked by the commute into central Austin. Another knock on Round Rock, it's actually bigger than you think. It's enormous. It's a city of over 130,000 people, and parts of Round Rock feel indistinguishable from northern Austin. So you can be driving through North Austin and suddenly you're in Round Rock, and you have absolutely no idea how that happened. So that kind of like blurred identity can be disappointing for people who are looking for that distinct small town character. Round Rock also doesn't have the same authentic downtown scene people might be looking for. You have Old Settlers Park, there's the Dell Diamond, and then there's the famous Round Rock Donuts, which, yes, you absolutely need to go get whether you live in Round Rock or not. But as far as that vibrant, valuable, walkable downtown with real character, it's really not quite there yet. So who is Round Rock for? It's great for families who want those really great schools, close proximity to Dell Technologies headquarters, and that same tech corridor as Cedar Park that I mentioned, and a proven suburban infrastructure that's hard to beat. Medium home prices for Round Rock are all over the place, around $390,000 to $420,000. Making it one of the better value plays in the northern suburbs. But if you end up going to places like Brushy Creek, Avery Ranch, you're looking at more of the 500 to, there are some in the low fours, but Avery Ranch, you could be getting into the 800s. Next, we have Pflugerville. Yes, Pflugerville. Sometimes people regret moving to Pflugerville when they realize how much it can feel like a transitional city that hasn't quite figured out its identity. One thing that surprises people when they move to Pflugerville is the lack of a real downtown or central gathering place. There's no walkable main street. Most of the shopping and dining is spread out along the big corridors and into strip centers. Lake Pflugerville is genuinely beautiful and a real asset, but outside of that, the commercial scene is heavily chain-driven and feels very generic. The other big knock on Pflugerville, Pflugerville's growth has outpaced its road infrastructure in a lot of spots. So traffic can be a genuine headache during any of those peak hours. A lot of people feel like they, gave up convenience for affordability and then didn't even fully get that affordability benefit they were expecting. That said, medium home prices sit around $367,000 to $390,000. Which is a real value compared to Cedar Park and Round Rock, and the proximity to Samsung Semiconductor Campus and the Tech Corridor off 183 is a legitimate draw. So who is Pflugerville for? It's definitely people who want a good bit of space, bang for your buck, a more affordable entry point into the Austin area, and a growing community where your housing budget goes a lot further. Pflugerville is actually pretty close to Austin. It's especially compelling if you work in North or Northeast Austin near Samsung or along the SH 130 corridor. Next city we need to talk about is Kyle, and people regret moving to Kyle sometimes. One big regret is that Kyle looks fairly close to downtown Austin on a map, but the drive, especially during rush hour, is a lot more than people bargain for. So from Kyle, we're looking at 30 to 45 minutes into downtown Austin, and this is on a normal day, and longer when I-35 is doing what I-35 does, which is a complete disaster. Kyle has also been growing at a breakneck pace. It's gone from a sleepy small town to a massive sprawling city almost overnight. And with that growth comes a lot of construction. A lot of the newer developments feel like they're plopped into cornfields with nothing around them. No nearby grocery store, no coffee shops, no restaurants, and you're waiting 2 to 3 to even more years for that infrastructure to catch up. There's also a big difference between living near Old Town Kyle, which has a real charm, and living in one versus living in one of those giant new construction neighborhoods, which Kyle has a lot of now. So let's talk about who Kyle is for. So Kyle is a great option for people who want affordability and kind of even a newer house. So medium house prices, $320 to $380 range, depending on where you are, depending on new or resale. You get a larger home for your money, and people who are okay with the longer commute or work from home. This is perfect for people to live in Kyle. It's also a natural fit if you work near Tesla's Gigafactory in Del Valle or anywhere along the I-35 South Corridor. So can't not talk about Buda, which is pronounced Buda, not Buddha, which trips up a lot of newcomers and even me sometimes. This can be a place people really regret moving to. This is a story similar to Kyle, which I mentioned together. Buda has grown enormously. Medium home prices running in the $290,000 to $350,000 range, making it one of the most affordable options in the entire Austin metro. And that has been a big draw for a lot of people. But the commute situation, again, can be brutal. You're relying heavily on I-35 to get into Austin, and I-35 south of Austin can be absolutely miserable. There's also just not a lot of identity in Buda beyond a small, cute, historic downtown area. The new subdivisions are pretty disconnected from any kind of walkability or established town feel. Most of what's out there is big box retail and chain restaurants. And this growth has created a lot of congestion that nobody who moved here 5 years ago was expecting. People moved here for peace and quiet and small town vibes, and they've got construction noise and new subdivisions going up all around them. But Buta's not all bad. So who's it for? It's genuinely great for those first-time buyers who want to maximize their square footage for their money. People who work from home. Ideally, if you're working into Austin, you're working south. And it's anyone who wants a lower price point and doesn't mind a longer commute into the city. Next up, we have Hutto. Hutto, Texas can be a big disappointment for people who want an established city with a lot of amenities. Hutto is growing and it's improving, but it generally doesn't have the depth of amenities that a lot of other suburbs around Austin have. It's heavy on chain stores and light on character. So there's a fun hippopotamus theme throughout the city, which is honestly pretty charming. But when you're looking for a great local restaurant scene or, vibrant downtown, Hutto just doesn't have it. It's not there yet. Another big regret people have is Hutto is on the northeastern edge of the metro, and getting to the major tech campuses in North Austin can take 30, 40, 50 minutes, depending on the time of the day and where you're headed. But Hutto, who's it for? It's great for people who want a lot of affordability relatively close to Austin. Medium home prices sitting around $345,000. And if you're comfortable buying into an area where growth is happening, but may not be have fully arrived yet, this is for you. Let's get right into Leander. Leander surprises people in both directions. Leander, some people love it immediately. Others move there and have some serious regrets. The biggest knock is for some people is how far it's crept up the price ladder. Leander used to be one of those places where it was an affordable alternative to Cedar Park, but demand has caught up and home prices are running around $400,000 to $450,000. At which point, some people feel like they're paying Cedar Park prices without the same level of established amenities Cedar Park has built up over the past few years. Leander does have something Cedar Park doesn't, which is the Metro rail station, the Cap Metro Red Line that runs into downtown Austin. So that is legitimately a big deal if you work downtown and want to avoid that drive in the highway. But the train only runs on limited hours and days, and it's not a comprehensive transit solution for most people. Traffic getting out of Leander on 183A or US 183 can also be really gnarly during rush hour. The growth has just been that explosive. So who's Leander for? Leander's great for families who want possibly newer construction, top tier schools in Leander ISD, and more space. If you want to genuinely grow in city that's been recognized nationally as one of the best small cities in America, that's pretty good. If you work downtown and want the option of commuting by rail, it's really hard to beat. Next, I need to tell you about Liberty Hill. And Liberty Hill is a town that people either love or they have serious regrets moving to. One thing about Liberty Hill, it's pretty far out, and I mean far, far out. This is a hill country territory, and while it's absolutely beautiful out there, that drive into Austin for work, for dinner, for anything is a real commitment. You're looking at 45 minutes to over an hour to get into central Austin, and that's on a good day. Liberty Hill also has that classic ground floor opportunity dynamic right now. There's an enormous amount of construction underway out there. Santa Rita Ranch and other massive master plan communities have fundamentally changed what Liberty Hill is all about. And now for some people that's exciting, but for others, they move there for peace and quiet of the hill country with a very affordable price. And now they're living in what feels like the world's largest construction zone. Medium home prices sit around $356,000 and are genuinely compelling for the square footage that you can get out there. But again, you have to be willing to drive and you have to be comfortable waiting a few years for the commercial infrastructure to catch up for this huge residential growth. So who is Liberty Hill for? It's for people who want lots of land, hill country scenery, kind of more of a slower pace of life, and a home that's going to appreciate as the area builds out. And you can get in there for a really great price right now. This is especially great for remote workers or people with flexible schedules who can avoid the highway during those peak hours. Now, Dripping Springs. Let's talk about Dripping, one of my favorite areas, near and dear to a lot of people's hearts out here. Some people regret moving there though. And I want to be honest about exactly why. So if you're moving to Dripping Springs and you absolutely cannot deal with the long drive into Austin for work every day, you are going to be sorely disappointed. Dripping Springs is really beautiful. They call it the gateway to the hill country, and it genuinely earns that title. But it's just not close to anything in central Austin. West Austin, different story. But if you're looking at 35 to 50 minutes to get into downtown, depending on the traffic and where exactly in Dripping Springs you are, because it's bigger than you think. The other thing that surprises people is how expensive it's gotten. Medium home prices are pushing $500,000, $600,000 in many areas. Lots of $1 million plus estates out there too, and tons of new construction. So people used to move to Dripping Springs expecting a value play with hill country scenery and great schools. But the secret has been out for a few years and the prices have followed. Dripping Springs is also heavily spread out. The wineries, the wedding venues, the Hill Country Galleria area, everything is very scattered. And that's just the nature of the beast of living out there. But ultimately, Dripping Springs is pretty great. Who's it for? It's absolutely for people who want that beautiful hill country lifestyle, really awesome top-rated Dripping Springs ISD schools, which are outstanding. Wineries practically in their backyard, and for the most part, a slower, more scenic pace of life. It's not for those Austin daily commuters. It's for people who have made peace with that drive. Let's move a little further west, talk about Lakeway and Bee Cave. These two are so close together and so similar in character that I'm going to cover them together. And they could be a massive regret for people who don't do their homework before moving out there. This is the big one. First, the price. Lakeway and Bee Cave especially are premium. We're talking medium home prices well above 600, 700 plus. In many neighborhoods, significantly higher. Tons of new construction. You can expect to pay $1.5 million plus in some areas. These are the Lake Travis lifestyle communities, and they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But if you're expecting hill country scenery and lake access at a value price point, you're going to be rudely awakened. You're just not going to find it. Second, the traffic on 620 and 71, getting in and out of the area can be absolutely brutal. There's just a lot of growth out there. There's really only a limited number of ways in and out of the Lake Travis corridor because of the lake. And during rush hour, those roads back up hard. A lot of people move out there dreaming of lake life and then spend 2 hours a day in their car on 620 wondering where their day went. Also, and this is important, Lake Travis itself has a water level issue that they've been dealing with for a while. It's a Highland Lakes reservoir, and the water level fluctuates enormously depending on the rainfall and where you are. So there have been stretches where the lake has been had critically low levels, which obviously affects everything from boat ramps to the overall vibe of the area to house prices and all that. So who's it for? They're for people who want a luxury suburban lifestyle, genuine lake access in some areas, and hill country scenery, and who either work from home, work locally in that corridor, or can handle the commute, or work in West Austin. Lake Travis ISD schools are really strong, which is a major draw for these families. And there you go. So Manor, Texas now. This is on the eastern side of Austin, way far from Bee Cave. So some people here expect it to be a hidden gem, and they move in and find it's a little more complicated than that. Manor is genuinely close to downtown Austin. So you can be downtown in about 20, 25 minutes, and it's near Tesla's Gigafactory, which is only about 10 or 12 minutes. But Manor has historically had some challenges: limited shopping, limited restaurants, and an overall underdeveloped commercial core. In some areas that feel rough around the edges compared to what people expect, from an Austin suburb close to Austin. New construction is popping, it's going in, and things are improving. But a lot of the new neighborhoods are surrounded by land that just hasn't caught up yet. There's a lot of open patches between subdivisions with not much going on, so some people are turned off by that. The affordability is real, though. Median prices in Manor running into $300 to upwards of $375,000 range, making it one of the more affordable suburbs close to Austin. So who's Manor for? Manor is for people who want proximity to Tesla, of course, and really good access to East Austin, downtown Austin, value price housing, and are comfortable being in an area that's still early in its development arc. Next, we have a city that people either love or really have regrets about, and that's Bastrop, Texas. Bastrop can be a huge regret for people who don't like long drive times. There's a theme right here. Or aren't prepared for how far out it actually is. Bastrop looks reasonable on a map, but you're talking about 35 to 50 an hour from Bastrop into central Austin on a normal day, and longer during bad traffic periods. Bastrop does have an absolutely charming historic downtown. It's genuinely one of the nicer small town downtowns in the entire Austin area. Cute shops, good restaurants, bookstores, and a real sense of character. But most of the things you take for granted in a more established suburb require a drive into Austin. Bastrop has also been through some real challenges. Back in 2011, wildfires were devastating to parts of the area. And while for the most part it's recovered beautifully, the wildfire risk in that corridor is something people should genuinely research before buying, something to keep in mind. So who's Bastrop for? Bastrop is a great option for people who want the long-term vision of what that area could become, and it's currently becoming that. They want a home with character or acreage, who love that Lost Pine scenery, and who are completely comfortable with that long drive into Austin. It's especially great for remote workers. Now we have Austin, the big city itself, and people can regret moving to Austin proper if they come in with the mistaken impression it's all walkable, urban, and has that dense big city feel throughout. Austin is a big, and I mean big, city. There's enormous diversity here. You've got dense, walkable urban areas, and you've also got parts of Austin that require a car just as much as any suburb. Even a section like South Congress, which is super vibrant, super walkable on the actual strip, is not so walkable the moment you get a few blocks off of it. Austin can also be a big regret for people who want to live in one of those big master plan communities with the resort pool and the dog park and the lots and dog parks and ponds and all that type of stuff. Austin proper really doesn't have that. All those fashionable mega neighborhoods come online in the suburbs. And then there's the cost, right? The median home price in the city of Austin proper is $450,000 to $550,000, depending on the neighborhood. And many desirable in-town neighborhoods are significantly higher than that. Travis County property taxes running around 2% of assessed value add up fast. This is a big sticker shock for people. South by and ACL are amazing, but if you live near downtown, certain weekends are completely disrupted by hundreds and thousands of visitors. So all of this is a real consideration thing to think about. So who's Austin proper for? Austin is great for people who want the broadest mix of diverse neighborhoods, a lot of walkable urban options, world-class food and music scene, and easy access to lots of job opportunities. But you have to make sure that you're hitting the right neighborhood. The location is everything. Or I promise you, you're going to have some major regrets. We need to talk about San Marcos. San Marcos, a little bit further, it's a city with real identity challenges. San Marcos is a college town. Texas State University is there, and it dominates the city's character in a lot of ways. So if you're not passionate about Texas State, if you don't want to live in a college bubble, and if you can't deal with crowds on game days, San Marcos may not be a good fit for you. Population of permanent residents in San Marcos is around 70K, but add nearly 38,000 Texas State students, and the dynamic changes completely when school is in session. Game days, move-in weekend, the vibe of the city shifts significantly, and that's jarring for people who just didn't expect that. San Marcos is right in between Austin and San Antonio, which sounds great in theory, but if you work in North Austin, you're potentially looking about an hour commute. The rivers are beautiful, the outlet malls are great, and the Aquarina Springs area is genuinely lovely, but housing options and the overall lifestyle can feel limited relative to what people expect when they move there for affordability reasons. So who's it for? San Marcos is great for people who genuinely want the college town atmosphere, love the rivers and outdoor lifestyle, and want affordability with the position between two major cities. It's especially compelling for remote workers or people with flexible schedules. We're done. So there you have it. A real honest look at the cities and towns in and around Austin, Texas. And of course, the things that people regret when they move there, but also some good stuff. Look, this is an amazing metro area, the job market, the music scene, the food, the outdoor lifestyle, and it is all real and compelling. But the worst thing you can do is move to the wrong part of the Austin area because it looked good on a map or sounded great in some YouTube or Reddit thread. One of the biggest mistakes home buyers make is that they move to the wrong house in the wrong area. I have to tell you about this cutting edge property technology that I help people avoid that. It's called listening. And that's when we talk and I listen and I help you find the home that best fits your needs. So if you're interested in having a conversation, I'd love to talk to you. All my information is below. I appreciate you watching. If you found the video helpful, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm dropping lots of new Austin area content every single week. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.